Hello and welcome to another Thought of the Day. My name is Paul Aldridge. I'm one of the leaders of the Estuary Elim churches. We never know what tomorrow is going to bring, do we? In other words, we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. On the 9th of June, 46 years ago, I got up to go to work just as I did every other weekday morning. Little did I know that morning my life was about to take a whole new direction as a sequence of events, or life-changing events, was about to change my life and unfold before me. That morning I was to end up in Stratford Hospital A&E department after having a motorbike accident in London. Ever since that day I've walked with a limp. I've spent my entire life trying to hide my limp, and I would go as far to say that when I was a young man I even denied it even existed. By all accounts I should have been killed that day after crashing into an open back truck at 60 miles an hour in the middle of London. In 2 Corinthians 12:7-10 we read about Paul and his thorn in the flesh. Paul also had a limp of sorts. The Bible calls it his limp, as I call it, a thorn in the flesh. We don't actually know what Paul's affliction was. What we do know is the Bible tells us that Paul asked God to take it away. Paul says, "Therefore, in order to keep me from becoming conceited, I was given a thorn in the flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me, but he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.' Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insult, in hardship, in persecution, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong." Paul had learned to live and accept his thorn in the flesh, as God reminded him, saying, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." We all have a limp in one form or another. Some limps are visible and some limps are not so visible. The other day I saw a disabled badge on the rear screen of a car saying, "Not all limps are visible." That is so true. God sees, or I should say everybody sees a visual limp, but only God sees the limps we have, the struggles we have in secret. Only God sees them. May I suggest that we all have a limp, but not all of our limps are visible. I've called this thought of the day, "We all have a limp." What I mean by this is most of us wrestle with God in certain areas of our lives. The thing is, we all walk with God, yet still limp in certain areas. Our limp is a constant reminder that it is only by the grace of God that we are saved. Like Paul, our limp keeps us from becoming conceited. Our limp serves as a reminder to be reliant on God. Our limp is what keeps us firmly grounded. Our limp is what reminds us with God all things are possible. That is from Matthew 19:26 from the NIV version of the Bible. Our limp is what makes us say, "If God can use me, he can use anybody." Our limp reminds us that we are a work in progress. Our limp is also a constant reminder of where our help comes from. Psalms 121, 1 and 2 says, I lift my eyes up to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. You see, it doesn't matter how long we have been a follower of Jesus. We still need to be reminded from time to time that we are all a work in progress. And it is only by the grace of God that we are saved. As Paul reminds us in Ephesians 2:8, for by grace we have been saved through faith, that not of ourselves. It is a gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast. For over 20 years, I've been carrying a short daily reading in the back of my Bible, headed The Winning Attitude. This is what it says. According to the law of aerodynamics, a bumblebee can't fly. Their body is far too big for their wings, but nobody ever told them, so they just fly anyway. When God says you can, it cancels out everybody else's you can't. God longs to find people who believe him. I have spent most of my life trying to hide my limp. One of the things I've discovered over the years is it is in our struggles that we discover our strength and learn to deal with our weaknesses. Remember what Paul said in 2 Corinthians 12:10. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insult, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Also, never forget what God said to Paul in 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weaknesses. Watching the Paralympic Games this year showed how people with a disability can overcome. They don't all come away with a gold medal, but they all are winners. None of them lose because none of them are quitters. They never give up. In my Bible, in Hebrews 12:1 and 2, is headed the race of faith. Let me read this to finish this thought of the day today. It says, therefore, we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. So whatever your limp is, don't quit. Ask God to give you the strength to get back on track today. He will do it. Amen. Well, thanks for listening today. God bless. Bye for now.